What's up everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to be making our way back on over to Universal's Epic Universe. Today we're going to check out some of the construction updates, but also we are going to talk about the brand new details that were released on Super Nintendo World here at Epic Universe. There's a lot to go over, and also we're going to check out all the different construction update as well. If you haven't done so, make sure you do subscribe to the channel just right down here below. Make sure you leave a like and let me know in the comments, are you excited for Super Nintendo World, and what are you looking most forward to in that land? So we are going to go ahead and start out by checking out the overall view of Epic Universe as it is right now. As you can see, we are looking at it from the face of the entrance, looking up through the actual park entry through Celestial Park. You have Super Nintendo on the bottom left, Dark Universe top left, you have Helios Grand right behind it, you have Harry Potter and the Ministry of Magic on the top right, and on the in the middle right you have Starfall Racers, and the bottom right you have How to Train Your Dragon Isle of Berk. So lots of things happening. You really start seeing a lot of the buildings are starting to make way. So we are going to start out with the main entrance, Celestial Park and Starfall Racers. Then we're going to get right into Super Nintendo World right after that. So into Celestial Park and the entrance area, we're going to start out by looking at an overview of our entrance coming in. You can see where the main entrance point is going to be, the middle part where the security is going to be into the portal to take you into the front of the park. Closer view of the actual entrance where you have security, and like the touch points will be, or like the entry points will be in that purple building. Off to the far right is going to be where guest service is more likely going to be hanging out in, so, and ticket sales as well. Here you've got the post security area going into the actual portal. Once this portal actually is designed, it's going to look absolutely amazing. It's going to be stunning. I think off to the right and left are going to be your stroller and wheelchair rental locations as well. Here's a great view of looking at the construction work being done on the actual entrance portal right now. At some point this will go vertical because we all do know that this is supposed to look much different. I only thought it was going to be just a simple portal, but nope. After seeing everything, this is going to be an absolutely gorgeous portal. Now once you've passed through the entrance point, this is going to be the view you'll have, is that you'll have the shop buildings on either side, leading up to the main viewpoint overlooking the cascading waterfall effects. The cascading water effects right here, you can really see how vibrant this is going to look when you walk in. You've got the shopping on the right, probably also maybe a food place with probably a Starbucks, because you know it's at the theme park. Starbucks is relevant. Some more work being done with the rock work features on the entrance plaza itself, so you're really starting to work on that theming area as well, which is hugely important. That we're already starting to see some of this rock work being worked on. You can see more closer look here of the entrance plaza, post security, going in. Probably we're gonna have stroller rental, wheelchair, and electric scooters, and everything will be rented from right there. Then it gives you another the other side, which looks like this might be a bathroom area, because like this will lead down towards where the buses will be picking up, because they will have to have the bus transportation to and from. And a great just overview of the entrance once again, like we said. From here, we'll kind of work our way into actual Celestial Park. Now, on to Celestial Park itself. Here you got the Atlantic restaurant. They've already installed some of the windows being installed. You can see that there's two ponds that are behind it that are going to have water flowing into each other, but you can see they do have the fountains are in place. And I think what I remember seeing in the concept art is it looks like you'll probably sit a little bit lower, so it'll look like you'll be like eye level with the actual pond itself. Another great view of all the work being done on the Atlantic restaurant. It looks like it's going to be a sit-down restaurant per se. This does look pretty cool because we'll have the kitchen underneath, so there won't be no kitchen. You'll see, you can kind of see where the door is, kind of where that black golf cart is. Looks like that's where the kitchen itself will be going. A great view of what this will kind of be. So you have the Atlantic restaurant there, and then you have your two ponds, which also do have fountains, and a lot of the water that comes out of these fountains is what will initially start the cascading water effect, but it is continuation of water coming into here as well, because you have the water coming from where the Constellation Carousel and that area will be coming. So it just shows you just how much water flow is going to be constantly going in this area. Here's a great view of your post entrance into your cascading waterfall effects. It looks like they've started working on some bridges to go over some of it, so you'll be able to see like in the bottom, in the like left area, some bridges that will take you over, crossing over if you wanted to check out all the water and everything. Overview of the actual like continuation of the cascading waterfall. Like I was saying, you have the Constellation Carousel, which will go under a bridge going into the pond itself, and then will lead it down into the cascading waterfalls. That will be the main point when you come into Epic. Great, really good overview now of the restaurant. We're in relation to where Constellation Carousel is and where Starfall Racer is. You can definitely see off to the right, they are working on a new building for this restaurant that's being built next to How to Train Your Dragon. They really are trying to make sure they have plenty of places to eat, plenty of places probably to sit as well, because of the amount of people that will be coming and going from this park. So right over by where Super Nintendo lands, like where we talked about next, they do have the work going on the Super Nintendo World store, which is going to be off to the left-hand side where that column is, and then off to the right where the red roof is, it's going to be your Pizza Moon restaurant, which I'm all excited about. I love me some good pizza. So as we were talking about, you had the bridge that connects. They'll go across some waterfall features next to where the carousel, Constellation Carousel's point is. And you can see where the water will be coming down, so you'll be able to stand there and like watch the water as it flows through Epic Universe. So this is a great view of understanding where Super Nintendo World is in relation when you walk into the park. So you'll walk all the way up by Atlantic, and then you'll cross this bridge over by Constellation Carousel. It'll take you into Super Nintendo World and also Donkey Kong Country as well. Here's a great view of your Constellation Carousel. Looks like your queue space area as well, with some of the water features that'll be going on, and your splash pad in the left there on top of this pool that also will be surrounding the carousel itself. Like I said, they started doing some painting as well onto the carousel. The actual top pieces are like this bright, vibrant blue color, and you can really tell like it's really starting to come together. It looks like they do have those pieces off to in that middle section where those will be probably installed as they get farther and far along with the installation of everything. And you can see behind it, there's where more of your water features are going to be coming from as well, because you have your show fountain, which I'm sure water will flow from that into underneath the splash pad, which will flow into the pond behind carousel, down underneath the bridge into the ponds by where the Atlantic restaurant is, all starting up by where the kind of past where the Helio Grand Hotel is going to be. A really good view of how far along the water the show fountain is coming along right now, because you've got all the, looks like they've got a lot of the big like fountain nozzles are in place. They've started working on like little things as well, probably lights and everything. But you can see how the water flow will all start kind of up by where the Helios Grand and the Blue Asian Pacific restaurant is going to be. It's all going to continue flowing down. It's going to flow down all through that, past all that rock work, which actually looks really stinking cool. So gives you an idea of like when you get to the entrance of Epic, you'll look up and you'll see Helios Grand all in the back. Starting all the way in the back, water flows all the way down. So if you're at Helios Grand, you'll see all that water going away from you. Here's a great understanding where so you've got the restaurant near Harry Potter Land, the show fountain off to the left is at Rockwork where the water will be flowing down. Behind it is where the entrance to Harry Potter and the Ministry of Magic is going to be. A great view of the new Celeste Tiki Bar right here where those cones are at. And then off to the right is probably another area for seating and like guest service and everything. Then you've got this is a really cool view of progress being done so far on, you got the show fountain on the left, Constellation Carousel on the right, and then off in the top right corner almost is Starfall Racers. So great look at the Blue Dragon Pan-Asian restaurant that's being worked on. And what I found out about this is there's going to be some water features going in front of it as well. So more water, more kinetic energy that I really do love a lot. You can kind of see here's where your entrance is going to be. Most points wherever there's an entrance into a major point in Celestia and to really anywhere in Epic, you have these like huge circles, cement spots with really cool coloring. This will take you in the entrance, and right underneath this little bridge, this is where you're gonna have some water flowing as well. So more water features. It's gonna go from like left to right or right to left depending on where it comes out of. So that's a really cool feature as well. So it's really just gonna have like that more kinetic energy going on. Off to the left of where the Blue Dragon is, you got some landscaping starting to go in, some paths being built. It looks like you have some areas to be able to go up and around, probably another area for guest service to be in. A great another view of the new restaurant, like a tavern I think is supposed to be built right next to where Harry Potter Land's going to be. So you're kind of looking at potentially 4 or 5 restaurants just in the middle part. Here you got your splash pad. Like I said, we're coming back, kind of working our way back down Celestial Park from the Blue Dragon. You've got some, looks like seating area, looks like for the show fountain space as well. Looks like possibly areas you could possibly sit and watch the show fountain. Now, I don't know if they'll have that area open for when they have the fireworks, but because the fireworks are so much farther behind, it should be okay for an area to sit in. Kind of our overview of Celestial Park, because after this we're going to go into Starfall Racers, but you can really see just the progress being done. I love how the Helios Grand looks. With all that water, you can really kind of see the water and how it's going to flow. When you get from the Helios, you got the little pathway, looks like another bridge where the water is going to flow under into the show fountain. So it looks like that water is filling the show fountain, going down past underneath the splash pad, looking like it's flowing the splash pad into the pool that is right next to Constellation Carousel. They'll then go underneath the bridge into the ponds by the Atlantic Restaurant. They'll then fully end at the very front of the park in the cascading water effect, where you'll come out and be able to stand and look at everything in the Epic Universe. On to Starfall Racers. Starfall Racers is the premier attraction at Epic Universe. This is going to be your dueling double launch coaster. So this is going to have two sides to it, and you can just see the sheer size of this roller coaster in comparison to like How to Train Your Dragon off to the right, in which How to Train Your Dragon is probably the biggest land that is being built to open with Epic Universe. And it really just gives you a size comparison of all that. Side view of the main ride area, and the fact that this kind of just the amount of space they put this in and how they used all of that space really showcases it. You can see right here, they are starting to work on that exterior queue, and you can really see just how big this queue is going to be. So they are anticipating this having potentially a really long line. Now, they can't really use much of the underneath area because that is where your first launch is going to go and everything else, but you can see they really are starting to work on that. So hopefully they'll end up working their way up and building up cover for this, because depending on how long this queue is going to be, it could be a couple of hours, maybe 4, maybe 6. Some great closer look at the track. You can see how they've got the two different types of track. You got the yellow and the like the more yellow and green, and you can see how they kind of will split off from each other at some point, make these close encounters, come back, and you see the yellow track will come back and over the queue space where the comet is and everything else. A great view of the work being done on the comet, but you can see all of the structure and scaffolding that was over the track has only just gone to the comet, which does mean there's a good chance we are going to start seeing more testing happening for the coaster itself. At some point we will see this coaster being ran with both sides running at the same time. You can see the greenish track is going underneath into the first launch, and you can see both of them will start out by making a little dip either right to left and then going up and underneath. And now this is the question I have: are they going to end up holding until they're next to each other so they can truly duel, or will they just do it based on the timing and as soon as you get down there you launch? Now, but a great view looking at the actual ride building with the queue and everything else, and first I could not figure out for the life of me where the maintenance bay for this ride is, but if you look up in the top right, it looks like that's where the maintenance bay is going to be. So that means more than likely when they have to take a train off, they will probably take the train off underneath. So that means they've also hidden that aspect as well. But this is going to look so good. Like, you got the bright green, you've got the track, and then you've got the close encounter where it looks like you're going to have both trains going by each other at the same time. Left to right view of the building itself with the comet as well. You got the close encounter space between the two, and you do see they do have an area where they're going to be able to block it off a little bit to protect that whole close encounter thing. And so this really does showcase just how amazing we're looking at with all of this. Like, Starfall Racers is coming along, Celestial Park is coming along, and everything else. So I really am excited for Celestial Park. On to Super Nintendo World here at Epic Universe. Probably the second, is pretty high up there anticipated when it comes to the lands, but this is going to be opening up not just with the Mount Beanpole area, but this will also be opening up with a second section in the Donkey Kong country. So you got the portal, how it's going to look, and everything else. You got what's going to be pretty cool about this land itself is that you're going to be going up into an escalator that will take you into, like, coming out of Peach's castle. I mean, you'll be able to see Mount Beanpole, you'll see Mario Kart and Bowser's Fortress off to the left, you'll see Yoshi's Adventure pretty much off to the right. It's going to be colorful, it's going to be lots of moving pieces. If it's anything like when we were at when we went to the one in Hollywood, there's just a lot of pieces always happening around you. Things are always moving. You know, it's like very appealing to the eye because there's always something to look at. You got like little Yoshis running around, these swamps coming down, you've got the little piranha plants, everything else. But of course, their biggest thing that they talk about is using the power-up bands. And you can see they showcase using them. Here are the power-up bands themselves. because you can earn points. You like keep a track actually in the app. It's actually Caleb's favorite thing when we went to Hollywood and everything else, because you see things that you wouldn't see unless you buy it. Now these are usually a little on the expensive side, but it's going to be really cool to see it. Now, because this is a Super Nintendo land, you will have Bowser's Fortress, and you'll have the Mario Kart ride, where he's going to be challenging Mario to a pretty much a winner-takes-all battle, where us as the guest are going to be helping Mario try to defeat the other characters that are there to try to beat them. And this is pretty cool because it has that augmented reality, where even though it's glasses, you're not actually wearing glasses, and you get the little Mario hat, which actually is pretty cool in my mind. This ride does tend to have a lot of issues. I'm hoping with this being the third iteration of it, it will end up working a lot better, be more reliable, and something that we can really hope to not have go down a lot. We are going to be getting Yoshi's Adventure, and this is going to be the little Yoshis that are going to be going around Mount Beanpole and everything. You're going on an adventure to try to find the eggs for Yoshi. You have Conquistadors. But what's going to be really cool is the fact that you're just going to get some amazing views. You're also, like I said, looking for these eggs all throughout. So it's not just a little ride, it's actually an adventure as well. And it's just going to be fun because like you're going to see them, you're going to be up high, you'll get some cool views. There's going to be piranha plants going to be trying to get you and everything else. But the biggest thing is we are getting Donkey Kong Country, and we will be getting the Donkey Kong Minecart Madness as well, where this is going to be taking you on an adventure throughout the Donkey Kong space. You have this golden character, some water features, everything else. You're going to be on a minecart that's going to be careening out of control. And I have to show you my favorite line from one of the creative directors on this.
There are 0 screens. It is all real show.
The fact that he's so excited about there's no screens, but yet Mario Kart has probably the most amount of screens I've ever seen, and it relies so heavily on augmented reality, just kind of makes me laugh. But this is going to be so cool. The fact you'll get Donkey and Diddy Kong. This is going to be all over. This minecart ride's going to be everywhere all around. I know Japan's getting this, so they'll be getting it before we are and everything else. The concept art just looks absolutely stunning for it. I love the picture of Donkey Kong and Diddy Kong riding it and everything. It's in this video, and like it's just gonna be jumping over water, jumping over obstacles, everything else. It's gonna be so insanely fun, and I just can't wait to see how this looks, because now seeing Super Nintendo Land at Hollywood, I'm excited for this one. But now we're gonna jump right into all the construction work that is being done. So we're gonna start out with, of course, an overview of Super Nintendo World. So right here you've got what looks like more likely how you will enter into the park. You'll come up the escalator, come out of Peach's castle, and off to the left you have Bowser's Fortress, where Mario Kart is going to be taking place. Right in front of you, Mount Beanpole, where the little Yoshis are going to be running around and everything else. And then off in the back, Donkey Kong Country with the Donkey Kong Minecart Madness roller coaster. And you can see they've already been doing a lot of work. They started to build up that golden face like you saw in the video and all the concept art, with the waterfall that'll be going in the front area as well. And the barrel has finally been installed. Last time we looked at this, the barrel wasn't installed yet. Here you got some cool, this is what I mean about this coaster. It's going to be so cool. It's got a lot of points where it comes out of the building, back in the building, then back out, then back in. But there's a lot of that, like you'll see it all over the place, especially once like foliage goes in and everything else. I do know they have started testing this coaster, but what is really cool is that a lot of these turns and twists and everything else, there's points where it feels like you're jumping off the track, you're losing control because the track underneath you, the quote-unquote track, is like out from underneath you. And the way that it is, it's like designed to sit on like a boom arm, and you're gonna sit in the car itself, while the actual coaster car is vertical, going side to side, while it looks like the track under you is horizontal. What's one of my favorite things is actually gonna be the splash feature. So you're gonna come out of the building up into what's gonna be like essentially a brake run, and then you're gonna make a hard right and look like you're losing out of control before you come down into the actual pool itself, where you splash down before getting back onto the track and going back into the building past the waterfall feature and everything. Here's another look at it. You can see you come off of looks like a little jump, looks like you kind of come off a point where the track breaks underneath you, and it'll break before you make a right, almost careening out of control turn down into the water feature itself. Looks like there could be some waterfall or water flowing into it, so maybe possibly it will splash at you as well. So because of the fact that this is kind of two lands in one, because you have Mario, Peach, all of them. Then you have the Donkey Kong Country area. They do have this great point where it does separate the two lands. So because they have that, because this is on a lower level compared to like where Mount Beanpole is, Yoshi and everything, they got this wall they built up, and there will be a lot of features on this. I think a lot of plants, a lot of that gold color you see and everything else. But now we want to get to the top of the coaster for the Minecart Madness. As you can see off to the left, they do have that golden character's face they are starting to work on, including the second lift hill that will continue on for your coaster ride. But then you have the main lift that will take you out of the load station, up and up the lift hill through the barrel before you start careening out of control on the minecart track that takes you all around. Another good view, you can see where you come off of the lift and the barrel itself before you abruptly get put back onto the track to then continue on throughout the rest of the ride with all those stuff that's also going on the inside as well. Now this is where this is stuff kind of cool to see this now before we actually get we see the land and everything, because at this point we're going to come off, you're going to make a little hill, then you're going to almost look like you make a jump, and you can see they're building up this steel framing, because what they're going to end up doing is they're going to be covering the track itself. Like the track you're not going to be able to see, quote unquote, but it once look like that you're being like shot off the track over a jump and then landing back on the track itself. Another great view of when you come off the main lift where you go into your first show elements. You see all of this work has already been done. There's so much work that's already been done, and the fact that there's still so much to go really showcases the amount of detail. You'll have the golden sketch character face off to the right. You can see cuts out on the far right of plants and everything that will be a facade so you can't see backstage areas. The good view where you go into your first inside portion of the coaster. This is gonna be a long coaster. I didn't realize how long this coaster was until I looked at it closer. But you can see you got the little Donkey Kong statue, or the statue. It looks like there's gonna be another one off to the left because you got points where it looks like it's gonna go. They're gonna place it into and everything. You got a point underneath where you come out and looks like you either go into the next lift hill or you come off the second lift hill. But just an overall, this is such a cool view of the ride itself because there's so much points where it goes out, in, up, down, out, in again, and you're just going to see the cars going everywhere. Plus, when you have all the foliage, you're really not going to see much of it. Even though it feels like you will see a lot, you're not really going to see as much as I think you will. So let's make our way back over to Mario and everything. So this is the point where you're going to come out of Peach's castle. So this is where you'll come out of the portal in the tube and the green pipe that you come out of, the iconic thing. You got that. Now you can see kind of a good view of where you'll come out. So you come left to right. What I do love is coming down these stairs and you're gonna have such a cool view of everything. And then on the bottom right, you're gonna have the Toadstool Cafe, which I hope does a little bit better than the Toadstool Cafe in Hollywood did, because we had a major fail on that in my mind. But you can also see all the piranha. There's so many piranha plants covered in plastic, and those things are so lifelike, it's kind of creepy. Then you kind of have more area near Peach's castle. Looks like areas you'll have with the power bands to play games, do the mini games and play all that stuff. Probably shopping, some area to meet with some of the characters as well. Then here's a great view of where you have Toadstool's Cafe will be, and the fact that it's going to be a second level, I wonder if the whole underneath area is going to be where you'll be able to eat, because honestly the way that it worked in Hollywood, I feel like could have been a little bit better and maybe more space, but again, we never got to go actually into it. But you can see the work being done here on Mount Beanpole with the exit to Mario Kart on the left. And I do love the purple. I know this will change, but I like the purple, and I kind of wish the purple would stay because it'd be kind of cool to see it like this. But a great view of Bowser's Fortress coming into the entrance to Mario Kart, the Bowser's Challenge. And so you can see some of the claws on the very bottom starting to be worked on, and then you'll have Bowser's face in the middle. And I think this is going to be this will be actual entrance into it, unlike at Hollywood where you kind of start out underneath. So, I mean, it could go underneath and this could be the queue space on top. But, I mean, the fact that there is so much difference how they built this compared to Hollywood is kind of nice because you kind of get two different styles. Then it looks like off to the left, looks like you have Bowser Jr.'s castle, so that when you do complete all the challenges on your power band, you can go in there and check all that out as well. So some more works being on the Bowser's Fortress and everything else. Like I said, off to the left, you do have Bowser's Jr.'s probably area for the mini games to play and everything. And a lot more of the piranha plants wrapped in plastic, which are just creepy to me. And then we're going to now look at the portal area. You can see they've already put in a lot of foliage. The portal itself still got a lot of work to do. It's actually the least complete portal out of the 4 for the lands so far. Like, it's got the actual ring, but you don't have all the stuff on the top yet. Kind of like the others have all of theirs on top. This doesn't quite have as much, but you definitely see it looks like they're getting closer to adding more and more pieces as they go. It gives you an idea. This is the portal going in. They've added one of the little coins that'll be there, and then off to the right is your Super Nintendo World shop, which I kind of like because the fact there is a shop outside of Super Nintendo World means you don't have to worry about going in there to see it. Really cool view of the Yoshi adventure. Like I said, you got the little bird that's going to be trying to peck at you, probably trying to get your egg. And this is going to be a really cool like animatronic to see, especially going in and out of places. You got shows, scenes, and everything. And then another front view of it a little bit closer, and you can just see all the little buckets and everything, of all the paint and everything. But I just love the Yoshis. Like, these little Yoshi ride vehicles are some of the cutest things ever. So far, Super Nintendo World really coming along. I really like the progress we have seen from it and everything else. Definitely going to be, I think, very highly anticipated, but I don't think it's the most anticipated land. But I think the fact that it's the biggest Nintendo World, I think it's the biggest thing. So we are going to move on to the land that I am the most excited for, and that is going to be How to Train Your Dragon, Isle of Berk. Now, the last time we had this update, we actually got all of our information on How to Train Your Dragon, from Hiccup's Wing Gliders, to the Dragon Rally Racers, to the Viking training area, to everything else in between. So, really cool stuff. So first we're going to start out with our overview, like we always do with these. And then we're going to look at a second view right here. And you can really see how the coaster is really going to really snake through the land. But in the very back corner, you can see they're really starting to work on the theater for the How to Train Your Dragon Untrained show, which is from Singapore, that we're going to be getting here. Here's our first really good look to get an understanding of how the area for the coaster load and first launch and the brake run and the maintenance bay is going to be. They're really starting to add in all this landscaping, all these trees, all the green. It's looking really, really good. Outside of this corner, you wouldn't tell that the ride's still being worked on, honestly. It's a great look at coming off of the first launch, but you also have the track switch area on the top for the area going into the maintenance bay space, and it looks like that they're looking like they may be bringing out a train to do some more testing, possibly. Now we're going to get into the kind of the fun part. Here, and this is a first good look at the launch. Now we're going to go left to right. On the very left, you see something covered in yellow tarp, and that's actually going to be Toothless. That's going to be an animatronic Toothless. And on the very far right, you got Hiccup, and it looks like that they're in mid-conversation, and it's probably when Toothless decides he's going to now take over. He's going to take over the Wing Gliders because now he's pissed off with Hiccup. Here's another good view. You can see like the Hiccup's on the bottom right, and off to the left you have Toothless and everything. And it looks like that Hiccup is like winding things up, probably like winding up the coaster and the wings and everything for you so you can glide before Toothless takes off with you. Another great view of the first launch, and I do like the fact that it is covered. I'm pretty sure that means that when you pull into this launch, you're going to end up stopping. They're going to have their conversation, and then Toothless is going to send you on your way. Great view of once you come off that first launch, how it kind of just slides and glides around the entire rest of the park. You can see off to the top left, they're working on the actual queue for the Wing Glider. Now kind of moving over by the Rally Race, Dragon Race, the flat ride. They're starting to add in all these little details, like these little dragons are in their little like, I don't know, like huts and stuff. But here's a good view of when the Wing Glider goes through the grandstands. You got a lot of these dragons poking their head out at you. They'll probably roar, maybe have some fog or some sort of effect showing at you and everything. Here's a really good view of how the grandstands are starting to come along. And what's kind of funny is that we won't actually get to sit in these grandstands, but these dragons are all placed throughout. You can start seeing a lot of the dragon heads and everything else. Is because this comes off the second launch, so you'll come off all that speed, get a little bit of airtime before you dive into this, where you're going to be kind of covered by the work being done for it. Some work going on for the Viking training camp, aka the kids play area. Now it looks like they've started really working on a lot of this as well. He started putting in the pavers because they're going to start building this up, and so it's going to be right next to the second launch of the Wing Glider. Another great view of it, looking at it from if you came off the boardwalk and off to the left, and you see they've got a lot of space for the kids to play around. Plus, it looks like they're going to have an area probably for like either a slide or a higher up area. And then off to the far right, they do have the bathrooms, and then if you look in the very far right corner, it looks like there's some dragon eggs up there for the second launch of the Wing Gliders. Now looking at the second launch here, you've got in the top middle area, you've got these eggs kind of sitting there for the Wing Glider challenge, and it looks like you'll be going by it. Alright, so now we're going to be looking at the construction work so far on the main lagoon and the main dining hall, the mead hall area. And you can see they've really taken down a lot of the scaffolding off the top part of the rock that's going to be on the top of like the mountain for it. Here's another side view of it. You can really see they're moving along. A lot more things are starting to be built up. It definitely feels like this land is a lot farther behind than I think I thought it was. But also at the same time, I think it's really far ahead. Like, it's like parts are really far ahead. But I think the parts that like here where you're looking at the construction on some of the shops, definitely looks like it's right on pace for where it should be. Another really good view of the mead hall and the mountain area. We'll be going in for the main dining. I think it's going to be a quick service. Bottom left, you have the fire drill where they're starting to work on the queue and everything else for it. A lot of these bridges that go over all of that as well. Lots of scaffolding, lots of things. You got the flat ride for the Dragon Rally Racer Challenge up in the top right. And you got the coaster just kind of sneaking throughout the entire entire land, which in my mind, this looks just absolutely stunning. All right, kind of looking at the base of the Mountain of Mead Hall, and now looking at the fire drill, aka the water shooting attraction. You can really see that they've got a lot of these supports going up for the queue itself. You got the queue space is all built up. It looks like they're starting to work on the like logo and everything, but you can definitely see that they still got a lot of things to add to fire drill. Now, I think a lot of that's just because they're testing the ride system right now, and then they'll add in all of like the little targets to work on the point system as well. Really good view of the scaffolding starting to come down around the Mead Hall space and the mountain. And it looks like on the very top there's a little hut, and I think I know what that is. Oh yeah, that's Gothi's hut. So Gothi's hut sits on the very, very top of this mountain and everything. Another really good view of Gothi's hut. It just kind of funny that that's where she lives, on the top of the mountain. And how does she get down? Well, now you can easily get down because of the dragons, but I'm pretty sure in the movie there's a like path. You can see kind of there's like a path it could possibly be. But that's kind of funny. Over to fire drill, we're going to take a quick look at some of the work being done. Looks like they got a few of the boats are ready to come on to the ride path and like go around and do like all the things and everything. Looks like there's 3 of them right there, and more of the bases you can kind of see are starting to be added for the dragons themselves, and it's starting to look like they're adding in some of that rock work. But I'm very sure there's a lot of electrical work that has to be done, but that also has to then be prevented from the water itself that's going to be in this area. And it looks like they've got they got boats number 10, 2, and 5, which is good. That means they're already got 3 boats good to go. They're starting to work on those, getting those like probably accustomed to it, getting the electrical work all done with it and everything. Now we're going to move over to the untrainable show building. This is something I completely forgot about, honestly, until they announced all the information for Isleberg, that we are getting this show, and I'm so excited. The fact that this was kind of lost in my mind a little bit. So you can definitely see they've started working on the steel being added to the outside to create like that. They've added some steel to the outside to add in like that entrance area, to add the theming and everything else. And the fact that we are getting this is just so exciting because it looks so good in Singapore. Then you got some work being done on top of Spitfire Grill. You got this little like top little hut thing. Got a lot of scaffolding around it right now. A view away from Spitfire Grill, you can see this is going to be, I think, one of the main quick service. Mead Hall is going to be a sit-down, kind of similar like 3 broomsticks, and this is going to be more like a lot of the other places where you order your food and you sit down. And then just a really good overall view. Like, it really is starting to come together quite a lot. You got Spitfire Grill on the bottom left. You've got the main lagoon with the dragons. You've got the coaster going up and around, especially by where the sheep are, up into the second launch. You have the shops and everything being built underneath Mead Hall, and then up in the top you got Viking training camp. They got some work being done on this small little boat painted, and it's got definitely a different, interesting design. And I've been watching the How to Train Your Dragon series, and I can't figure out where that's from, so I'll have to keep track and maybe go back and look again. And this is such a great view of, like, this is where you'll walk into when you walk into Isle of Berk. And you can see the boardwalk still has just the temporary, like, or the main walkway where the workers go to and from. When this opens for us, you'll be able to walk all over the place. You'll go all the way up to the edge right there. You'll get some great photos of How to Train Your Dragon and everything else. It's going to just be amazing. There's some work being done on the portal entrance. You got some of that rock work being done. So a lot of scaffolding around it. Probably still working on some electrical stuff because I think the topper for the portal entrance will end up having something going on with it. And then this is a really just understanding like what you're going to be walking into. So like you'll have the ride over here, but I bet you they'll put in some foliage and some trees to block out that so you can't see it. So when you're in Celestial Park looking into How to Train Your Dragon, you won't see it at all. And then just one last really good view of looking at the land from the front on. And I gotta tell you what, this is a huge land, and this is, like I said, I'm most excited about this land because I love the How to Train Your Dragon series. The coaster looked absolutely so much fun, and I mean, it doesn't have any inversions or anything, but but it just looks so much fun, so quirky. So I mean, it's very How to Train Your Dragon-esque. Plus, you got the flat ride, which you can spin and flip and everything else, and then the even the fire drill. Like, yeah, it's a little boat ride that you'll get soaked on, but like still, it's gonna be fun. And then the Untrainable show, which again is off to the far right, which isn't even picked up by this. So like the fact that there's so much space for this area, I definitely don't think there's much space for this to actually potentially expand, but I definitely think they could probably do a lot with this, and it's gonna look so good, just like walking into the movie. Harry Potter and the Ministry of Magic. Now this is gonna be the newest installment of the Harry Potter Wizarding World series. The biggest thing though about this is that this is the land that potentially will have the first expansion. Looking at this overview shot, you can kind of look in the top right. It looks like they have that whole space back there available for the potential of expansion of this land. Here's just another overview of looking straight down at the full-size Paris streets, because these is a full-size buildings and streets and everything as well. Now you kind of look at it from the aerial view. So looking straight up into the portal, when you walk underneath the little archway, they've been working on this little mural at the front that's already been completed. They've adding in all these trees and everything else. But we kind of want to take it back a little bit. Kind of look at how it looked about a year ago. So this is one of the areas where you come into the 5 streets. And I think this is the area where you'll go in for the corner where the theater show is and everything else. Now, back to today, you have the entrance in with the mural having been completed, with the hand holding the Elder Wand as you walk through the portal into Paris, into the Ministry of Magic. And you can see in the very back, and we'll get a closer look at this, they started working on the tent that'll be the entrance into the theater attraction. So there's a Ministry of Magic attraction and then a theater attraction, and then you'll have they'll probably end up expanding it out for the Great Hall dining experience. So that's things to let's continue looking forward to. Now, this gives you an idea like what I meant about how there is still space. So here in this one, you've got the first, number 1 is where they kind of have all the staging and everything for everything that's going into the land. Number 2 is the area that they bring everything in, but this potentially looks like the first area they could expand from. So if there is expansion coming, this is the first area it would come. Number 3 is the theatrical building for the theater-based show or the attraction. And then number 4 is the show building for the Ministry of Magic. So, and then kind of in this view, you kind of get the same kind of idea what I mean. Kind of another view. So you got number 2 is the Ministry of Magic area. Number 3 is the theater show. And then number 4 is the area potentially for expansion within the park. Now, this has already been planned as the first expansion for Epic Universe, and the fact that they're already planning an expansion kind of shows you that I personally think Harry Potter was kind of a last-minute addition, because this had been rumored to go to Universal Studios for a long time, and so I feel like this is what it would have gone. This is what would have been built at Universal Studios if Epic hadn't come around and been able to take that for it. So, but now back into the actual streets itself, it looks like that they are starting to put some scaffolding back up. It looks like they are starting to add in more of like the weathering features, any sort of murals. You can see off to the far right, they have a mural of some sort right there, paintings. They're adding in all that stuff, probably adding in any lighting or anything that's going to be going on in those lights. Where the arrow is, that's going to be the entrance to the attraction to the Ministry of Magic space. So you kind of see, and then especially along the roof line, they really are starting to add in all the chimneys as well. The great view of when you come through the portal, through the archway, and then you come in, you're coming into the 5 streets, and you can see how the scaffolding is down around those buildings. It looks like that's all done, all that weathering and everything else, and like the painting and all that's been done. All the chimneys have been added as well. When you go off to the left-hand side, you can see where it's pointing. That's where it's going to take you into the courtyard area, where it will take you to the featured dining location within this land. Another good view looking at just the sheer size. I mean, you've got things in the very back. It says 1879. You got all these chimneys being added. It looks like they're adding more chimneys on the top, on the right side, and the mural and everything else. It's just really starting to come along very slowly. This is gonna be one of those ones we're not gonna be able to see very much of. Like, we can see a lot with How to Train Your Dragon. You see a lot with Super Nintendo Land. You see a lot with Dark Universe. This is one of the things you can't really see a whole lot of because of the way that it's designed. You can definitely see here's the scaffolding has come back up, and there's more of it for them to keep working on. They're working on the top, adding in some like words, painting things, working on the weathering, putting in all the stuff to make it look like it's been worn, especially on the very top of that, the highest point right there. It's like they've already added in, like, I don't know if they've added it in, but it looks like bird poop, and so maybe they've added that, or maybe that's just naturally because of all the birds around, possibly. You can see number 1 is the area where the framing is for the tent that will go for the theater attraction that will be in this part of the land. And then you've got plenty of scaffolding returning, and The chimney pots are still being added to the top of the roof line. You can see they've got them all staged, and it looks like that they have just placed them on a single sheet, and then they are picking them up and then putting them on top, putting them in place that way, and not individually being placed, which is still fine, because the fact they're putting in that much detail where something you may not even see, kind of impressive. Another good view of the tent structure being added, where you can see where it's going to be going into the theater attraction, and then off to the right is going to be where the top area is where it said 1879. That's where it says hotel. That'll be the exit from the theater as well. It's kind of like I said, we talked about the strange area off to the right hand side. It doesn't seem like they've really added a whole lot over here. I don't think this is part of the expansion, but it could be maybe like they could add a shop or something over here as well. So I don't know, maybe a smaller expansion and then the big one in the back right, but we'll just have to see. And you can definitely see more of the concrete work being done at the entrance to the portal. Now all the portals kind of all have a similar design, but at the entrance of all these portals, they have like some sort of like concrete layer or design or something that will like showcase what's going on. So like see there's stuff covered, and it looks like those could be like the curses that have been said, or the magic spells or anything else like that, before you actually go into the area as well. One last look at the entrance portal, and this is a good portal because it's a very deep portal, and the fact that there's not much, so it hopefully has some very good fog effects or some sort of effects that take you into the wizarding world of Harry Potter. And so this is really coming along as well. Like I said, not a lot to see with this because it's kind of everything's covered with that. Dark Universe, aka the Monsters Land here at Epic Universe. We're gonna start with our overall view. You're gonna give you kind of the size of everything. You see you got the Helios Grand in the background right there, and you can see how just big this is comparison of everything else. Quick little look down at the area that's going to house the village, the werewolf coaster, and the manor attraction, which is going to be a kuka arm going into this mysterious manor. You definitely see over here with the werewolf coaster, they are starting to add in some themings. They got these 3 carts over by where the queue is going to be going. They've got still a decent amount of plywood, but definitely you can see they started adding in some of the concrete work, and they definitely have put in barriers to protect those from. Now over by the manor, they've started working on this sculpted vines going down the doorway, and they've kind of wrapped them already in plastic, so I think this is the way to protect them, or this is the way to weather them. But you can definitely see the entrance where you come into, all of that right there, all of those like bones and everything else, those have all been completed. Good really look at the front of the facade. It looks like more theming is being added. It looks like more scaffolding has been brought in, and I think a lot of this is just to work on the painting, work on the weathering, because you got to make this look like an old rundown manor, and so it's gonna look creepy and scary. And you can see at the very top, they still have to put the little point that needs to go on the very top fire right there at the very front. Here's kind of the overview of the village, kind of the middle part. It looks like they'll have a little fountain that'll be going on. I definitely think there'll be a lot of shopping in this area. I think the way they're gonna do is they're gonna connect a lot of the shops together, where it's kind of like when you go into Harry Potter, where you can kind of go to and from. You don't have to like leave a building to go into another area, but there's multiple entrance and exit points as well. Another view of, you can see all the theming being done so far with the shops fronts and everything else. You can see how it looks like it's all weathered. It looks like you're in a creepy rundown village and everything else. They started adding in some of these like low, like some of these trees are kind of low hanging. Looks like they're not fully dead, but like they're just hanging and like branches are low and everything. Good view of where the restrooms are going to be off to the top right, because it's going to be very important to make sure you have restrooms all over the place. Looks like they got another like one of those shops right there. Now I don't know, it looks like it's just going to be like shop you'll be going into, but maybe like where characters will hang out and roam as well. Really good view of coming in from the portal on the top left. You'll come in past all the cemetery stones. Looks like they've added in like a crypt right there in the middle. Before you walk actually into the village itself with the water and everything else, you see they got a lot of plywood down, because I'm guessing they have laid the concrete, but they're trying to correct concrete from all of the construction work and all the moving pieces and parts that are going throughout. And then just a really good view of the village itself, and it just tells you just how big this is. You can see all the workers walking around. It's the fact that like everything looks really in a really good size for it, and like it's cool. I love the theming, like the old style of like what you would think if you walked into Frankenstein or like even to Dracula. Like this is what it feels like, and it's really cool. A little bit closer view at the entrance when you come into the land. Like I said, you're gonna be walking by all these gravestones, which are gonna be lining the path on the right and the left. Be going up and around. Just you'll be walking into a very spooky area very quickly. You can see they got some work still being done. Looks like on the area that'll probably be the exit to the land, because when you come in, you're going to immediately be told to go to the right and then up and into the village. When you probably exit, you're going to be going out to the right hand side and be sent off somewhere there, because the point of the portal is that you only enter, you're not exiting. I think that'll change once like the park has been open a little bit and like crowd levels consistent, but to start out with, they're going to probably make you have to go off to one exit. Another good view, you can see the portal off off to the left-hand side. Such a cool portal. The fact that this will light up at night, it's going to be so freaking amazing. Walk in, you'll be one by the gravestones right into the actual village. And you can see how like the building has been pushed back. So possibly one of the areas, this is one of the eating area, another quick service, potentially more shopping. Off to the right, definitely looks like more shopping. It's going to be, that means there's a lot more merchandise for the classic monsters, which I feel like Universal doesn't give love to very much. Now we're going to work our way over to the Burning Blade Tavern. And last time we looked at this, the scaffolding had been re-added to the blades, but it looks like that they officially have done with it and the blades have been officially added. Here's kind of a behind the view. You can see how they are, and especially at night, these blades are supposed to be on fire as it spins around, and that to me, it's kind of just, it's so cool to look at. And then one more really good look, you can see where the outdoor seating area is on the right. You see the walkway that'll take you up into it, and then especially since you have the Curse of the Werewolf right there, it's gonna be really cool to kind of see that when you're like walking out of the tavern and everything. And probably all the ambiance and the noise and everything else. It's gonna be dark, it's gonna be creepy, and it's gonna be so cool. So over at the Curse of the Werewolf, looks like they are starting to add multiple trains, starting to work on the multiple train function of the coaster. As you can see, this is going to be a 5-car, 4-person per, so it's going to be 20 people per coaster car train. And it looks like that on the very last car right there on the left, it looks like that is what the theming of the cars will look like. The other 4 look like they're all covered in plastic to protect them and everything. And if this is, it looks like it's going to be a free spinning coaster. It's not going to have any sort of control outside until you get to the end. So that does mean that we'll get a lot of spin time, especially if you can balance it just right. You can spin, the cars can spin very freely, and the fact that they all face out, it's going to be even cooler. You can see right here, this is what I mean by it looks like they're practicing the adding the second multiple train function, because they've got one on the brake run, and then they got one that's going to be coming off of the maintenance bay onto the spur line back into the actual loading bay. And this will be a garage. It's going to end up like this, like doors going to be able to open and close, but it's going to be themed in such a way, it looks like they'll theme it all the way up and around so you can't even see it, so you can't see to the maintenance bay area. Another view, like I said, you got the one waiting on the brake run, and then you got this one right here, and I think all they're doing is they're just getting work done to make sure that the coaster can clearly come on and off of the track without any sort of major issues. Now we're going to move back to the front of Dark Universe, because of the fact that this view right here is kind of what you'll kind of see as you walk in. You'll walk in through the portal, lightning going on, probably lightning, creepy music going through the portal as it transforms you into transports you into the world of Universal Monsters Legends and like classics. Great view of it. Looks like they're starting to work on the weather, and looks like they're adding points where it looks like the lightning is strike. It looks like that they are going to have pieces missing because of the fact that this is like you've been struck by lightning, and so pieces are falling off and everything else. And it looks like they're going to add like lightning strikes onto it, like it's been hit by lightning, and in those spots, that's where the pieces are going to be missing. So just overall, this land is looking amazing, and I just cannot wait to see when this does debut for it, because it is going to be an absolutely amazing. It's going to be cool. It's going to be creepy. The werewolf coaster looks a lot of fun. I'm really excited for the manor attraction. Overall, it's just a very good land, and I'm glad they were able to incorporate the Universal monsters into it. So now the last thing we're going to take a quick look at is we're going to take a look at the work being done on the hotels for Epic Universe. So you got the Helios Grand, Stella, and Luna Nova, who are what they're working on. And you can see, it kind of gives you an idea where Stella and Luna Nova are in comparison of the park. So when you come, if you're going to be staying at those two resorts, you'll come out and they'll take you off to the right, and they'll take you towards the entrance of the park itself. And then Helios Grand, you get the own personal entrance to go out and everything else. And the fact that you can see just how close they really are. But it also can tell you, because in the top right, you can actually see where Universal is. And you can see they're adding in all of they've been working on all the road work and everything else. Actually, not even Universal, that's SeaWorld Orlando looking at that. So hopefully maybe BioConstruct can get a good view of everything. So quick look at some of the work being done on Stella Nova, and there's actually some good photos I'll show you that someone took of it when it's at night and also during the day. But you can see it looks like all of the colored tile has been added. It looks like they're starting to work on the theming on the bottom part where all that purple is. Probably gonna be adding in something there. Looks like those will also be rooms on the ground level. You see the work being done on the Stella Nova pool, bar, hot tub, everything else. And it looks like there's a lot of places that they're going to have like, you can see all the stuff still need to be added for this. Here's Terra Luna, still the work being done on its tiling. Stella Nova is definitely farther along the Terra Luna. That's in the conjunction also being able to see that you can book out Terra and Stella Luna. You can check out Stella Luna first, and then Terra Luna is after, like by a month and a half or two. So you can definitely see how it is farther behind. A good view of understanding like how these two are going to look in comparison of each other. So you got Terra on the front forward, Stella's on the back side, and like I said, then when you come out of these two resorts, it's gonna be kind of like Dockside and Bayside, where they're gonna be on either side of the part of the road from each other, but they are gonna be almost similar resorts as a whole. But so whenever you leave, you'll go out to the right, and then you'll turn down, and that's where I think it'll take you down to Epic Universe entrance. Then just want to give you a look at how the Helios Grand Hotel looks in comparison of everything else. So this is the in-park hotel, and this is the one that's going to probably be like $400 or $500 a night for a room that doesn't even face the park. Probably ones that face the park are going to be close to $600 to $700 a night. And I'll tell you, I'll at least want to do that at least once, but not when it first opens, because it's going to be probably impossible to get into, because it's going to be very, very busy. Now we're going to start looking at some pictures that we're taking of Helios and Stella and Terra during a good morning, like during a sunrise. You can see how it looks. You can see the dome on the very top has been completed. They've got the ballroom they're still working on, and then there's like a little emblem on the middle that we still haven't quite got word what that could be. I think it's going to be the Epic Universe logo, but it also could be the Helios Grand logo. So here's the work being done on the Helios Grand pool. They did finish up all the concrete work. It looks like that there's also a bar and grill right here off to the right hand side, which to me is kind of weird that they have this so far away from like the actual hotel itself. So I'll be interested to see how that is. But it does look like they have a zero entry area because they got this yellow like coating protective, so they're probably going to have a zero entry into the pool itself as well. A little bit closer look, you can see they've added in all that stuff. Giant steps right there, a couple steps off to the right, and then like potentially a zero entry area into the pool itself. And it looks like it's going to be a very deep pool, so it's kind of fun. In fact, it's kind of a big pool for a resort that's only going to have 500 rooms. Is impressive to me. Another good view of the arrival side of Helios Grand. So this is where you'll come in. You'll park in the parking garage off to the left hand side. They'll have a main entrance. You can kind of see where they're already starting to work out, where you'll go up to the check-in point, then you'll come down and then go into the parking garage, so that whenever you are coming in to check in for Helios Grand, that's where you'll go. And then it's a good view of understanding what's going to look like from the park side, looking at the fountain with the Pan Asian on the bottom left, and you can see how well it already is starting to look. Like they are really moving along very quickly, and the fact there's so much happening in such a little amount of space, considering what's being built, it's impressive. Like I said, you can see the work being done on the ballroom on the very top, and like I said, on the far left, they've got all of this like little like logo, and I think this is the Helio Grand, or it's going to be the Epic Universe logo. I don't know. It looks like the Epic Universe one, but you can see all of the rooms have all their windows in. They started adding windows to the ballroom space as well. They're starting to work on the decorative piece on the very top for it. You can see the dome has been added. There's the decorative piece again, and it looks like more area off to the left, probably like a more of a bar that'll be up on the top, because if it's Universal, top of every hotel there's usually a bar. See, the work has been done on the base, or on the dome itself. Really come along. I mean, considering not even just 2 months ago there was no dome, and now we have a dome, which is pretty cool. And I'm curious what this is going to be. Like, I feel like it's going to be some sort of observation space or something, but, and then here's, like I said, here's a really interesting view, like, of that, like, decorative piece underneath the dome itself. So I wonder what that's going to be. Not sure yet, but this looks really cool during sunrise. But you can definitely see just the way this is going to look, because this is looking at the park from the park side. You can see Starfall Racers in the background. You can see the Mead Hall with Gothi's hut on the very top. It's just gonna look so cool. But here's where I was talking about how you can definitely see how this is gonna look, because this is a sunrise on Stella Nova. On the right, you've got the colorful tiles, which are going to look absolutely stunning during the day, but on the left side, it looks like they're going to have little lights that are going to look like stars, because you won't be able to see it very well at night. It will look like you're looking at the star night. I mean, Epic Universe is everything star related, space related, everything else. In this, it just looks cool. And then here's kind of a close-up view. You can see the transition from like daytime to nighttime. Now, some of the tiles are not like colorful tiles, but they are lights in way to add in like ambiance at night, which is going to look so cool. And this is just a really good look at it at night. Like, you can see how the lights will project in such a way, and like even the tiles will still glow a little bit, but it's just amazing. So hotels are really coming along. I'm super excited for those. Epic Universe, really starting to make progress, and I don't know about you guys, but I am so freaking excited. The fact that we got all this new detail on Super Nintendo Land, everything else. We still have to learn more information about Harry Potter and the Dark Universe. I think Dark Universe will get at the beginning of June, kind of like we've been getting lately at the beginning, and then I think Harry Potter will be the last one because it'll be closer to Harry Potter's birthday. So, but overall, just one last look at this thing. It's going to look absolutely amazing. And I don't know about you guys, but I am still very much excited for How to Train Your Dragon. But learning all this stuff, Super Nintendo World is definitely going to be just as fun. If you guys did enjoy the video and enjoyed the update, make sure you do leave a like on the video, but also comment what is your favorite thing, what are you most looking forward to at Epic Universe. And if you haven't done so, make sure you do subscribe. But also right here, I'm going to give you guys a whole list of all of our Universal trips, including all of our other Epic Universe updates that we have been putting out. We will continue doing monthly updates as best as I can get them out. I run behind a little bit, I'm so sorry, but if you all would like to do so, make sure you subscribe here to see all of those, especially once the preview center over at Universal does open. So with all that being said, as I do head on out from this epic construction update with Super Nintendo World new details, I will see y'all next time.